under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
I could have sworn the baby in that trailer had more of 5 o'clock shadow than I did. Anyway, good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome once again to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. I'm Bill Van Ryn, editor of fanzine Drive-In Asylum. Below me is Sam Panico from BNS About Movies, and in the other box, that beautiful blue face, is Unkle Spooky himself.
I'm so excited to be here!
We are excited for you to be here. We've summoned you with our Ouija board, and here you are.
With Grave of the Vampire, so exciting!
What about Pineapple Patty?
Pineapple Patty, she's very excited too. I don't know if you can see her up here.
Is she like Peppermint Patty?
Patty's down, Patty's down. Patty's down. It's all right, she's back up. Here she comes. She's back. Here she comes. Patty's back up. Hi, everybody. She's very excited for tonight's show. Can't wait to see
She's like Peppermint Patty, but a different flavor.
I know. She's all pineappled out too. She's really quite spectacular. One of a kind. Think about Patty.
She's not afraid of vampires, is she?
Oh no, she's possessed herself, the little darling. See all the people she's mad at.
Patty.
Patty.
I'm coming for you, Patty.
Patty.
I'm glad she didn't see that after all.
I know.
Fortunately, everybody else did. So welcome back to the show. This is your first time on the show in 2022.
I'm so excited. I can't remember the last time. What did we watch the last time?
It was you, me, and Dustin, because Sam wasn't on.
It was Brainiac was one of them. I do know that.
Brainiac. Yes.
And the Killer Shrews.
The Killer Shrews. Both excellent choices. I was thoroughly entertained.
We've got two more fantastic films tonight, and these are both personal faves. And I think you're going to like them too, Unkle Spooky. You said you haven't seen either one of these tonight.
No, I have not. I saw a little bit of a Grave of the Vampire, and I remember thinking, this is pretty good. But I was kind of alone, or I was with somebody and they didn't want to watch it. And it was like real kind of like a downer, so I had to change the channel. So I'm glad I'm watching it with you guys tonight. It was like a much more receptive crowd.
I would
Sam, the second feature is one of your all-time faves, isn't it? You picked it, Sam.
Oh, I thought you were kind of spooky. Yes, I did pick it. I don't know if it's one of my. I love it a lot because it's really silly. It was not Peter Cushing's favorite movie. He hated it, but maybe that makes me. He's like, "This is the worst movie I've been in." And I was like, "Really? It wasn't?" I don't know if that's true, but I dig. I mean, I think it's the only female moth hybrid vampire movie. So of that genre, it is my favorite movie.
Nailed it.
Blood will be drained tonight.
Yes. In one way or the other, blood will be drunken tonight, or drank, or however we want to say it.
Swallowed.
Swallow that blood.
Guzzle, guzzle. This looks
Welcome.
like. Oh, go ahead.
Welcome everybody in the chat, and thanks for hanging out with us. It's nice to see all of you folks again.
And I saw that. I can't remember who said it in the side. Mark said that Grave of the Vampire is very Drive-In Asylum. I would say 100%. Yeah, it fits. It hits all the things. And its director John Hayes directed another Bill movie, Dream No Evil, which is I think a very very Bill movie.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
You know who wrote it?
Yeah, David Chase from The Sopranos.
He also nailed a couple of Night Stalker episodes, which just looks like it is kind of Night Stalkery. Just the vampire, just from the trailers.
It really has the feel that it could be a Night Stalker episode. And that's probably why I like this movie In the Dark so much, because they both feel like Kojak could come out at any moment and kind of save the day and make it better.
Yeah, this guy is definitely a villain that Carl Kolchak would have chased after at some point. In fact, very similar to Janis Skorzeny, which was the first vampire that he ever went up against. This guy is a very close second. In fact, I think this guy's a little more brutal than Janis Skorzeny ever was. And
there's
that's
a lot of fighting and brutality in this movie.
Right? 1972. What a good year for horror. Oh, my God.
You said a mouthful. 72, 73. Those are my golden years.
They're really, so many good ones. A couple of stinkers, but mostly, even those are kind of fun.
They're probably my favorites. The stinkers.
And the other reason I love this movie is because William Smith's in it. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, he should be in every movie. He's awesome. He was Conan's dad. How awesome is that?
Who was his? Thank you. I saw that he was in that, and I was like, who did he play?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the one in the beginning that starts to tell Conan the riddle of steel in the beginning of the movie. I may have seen Conan way too many times on HBO as a kid. As a puny fat child, like someday I'll be Conan. Keep dreaming.
It's scene where he guys snaps his finger and the girl just kind of walks off the cliff.
Yeah.
That's power.
It can happen.
Coming.
You're like, Sam, what is best in life? And I'm like, to sit on a couch, to watch horror movies, to make alcohol. That's my best in life.
This movie is one of the scariest vampire movies that there are, in my opinion. No matter how many times you see it, it's still pretty shocking. The level of violence in it is pretty brutal, and for a vampire film, for a vampire film that is not Leif Yonker's Darkness, that's a fucking brutal vampire movie. But it's more recent. This was 72, so it wasn't often that you saw anything that violent from a vampire film. But this one really pushed some boundaries.
Well, how old were you when you saw it? Were you like a kid?
Oh yeah, I was probably like 6 years old.
Oh, so did it ruin you a little bit?
It was scary. I liked it for that reason, because most of the vampires are my favorite.
Is that right?
Dracula was my fave monster, and every year at Halloween I was Dracula. So my eyes were tuned for vampire films in the TV Guide, and this one always popped up. What a great title too, Grave of the Vampire.
I love that it starts with that disclaimer that you showed in the trailer. If you're squeamish about seeing a baby drink blood, do not watch this movie. Like, who was like there's like a special MPA thing. I know we're going to give this a PG or an R, but you got to put a disclaimer about that baby drinking blood, because people aren't ready for that. That's the one taboo. We've seen by 1972, Deep Throat's going to come out next year, and everything's crazy, but just please put this disclaimer on this movie.
Doesn't that sell it a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. When you have an angle, you work it,
Yeah. That's how if you're going to four-wall this movie, that's what you put all over the theater, right?
Wish I could type. All I can say is, I love Leomora. Chris Fissinek. Carry on.
Blue is beautiful, and we're always glad when you're on the show, just because you're so pretty.
You know what? Someone just mentioned the Death Master is a great combo for this, and I was thinking about that too, but I was like, Vincent Price would be mad, so let's just show Peter Cushing.
Were Peter Cushing and Vincent Price ever in a movie together?
Yeah, House of Long Shadows, right?
Good one.
I think there was another one too. I can't think of it off the top of Madhouse.
Yeah.
Cushing was in Madhouse.
I love that whenever Cannon made House of Long Shadows, Minaheim Golan said, can we get Bela Lugosi for this? And someone had to tell him that he was dead. He said, but I'm a big horror fan. I want to see if he can be in this movie.
And then he wrote a song about it.
Yeah. Speed.
Oh, Bela Lugosi's dead.
Bela Lugosi's dead.
Oh, I thought maybe one of the there's a lot of weird vampire type creatures in the apple, though. So I thought that this was.
I've never seen the apple either.
Oh.
Yeah, I get that reaction.
Oh, my God. Get ready.
Put it on my thing.
The best is like the Austin, who wrote the Canon guide, said it's a movie that the first time you watch it, you're probably going to hate it. And like by the third time, you're going to like think of it as like a religion by the third or fourth time. We have to show it pretty soon, Bill, because I think it's worth showing.
It's time.
We don't have to do horror movies. I mean, it is drive-in asylum, so we're not exclusively horror. I managed to put exploitation and cult fanzine in our sort of mission statement there, so we can do whatever we want.
Slipped right in there.
Oh, and good call. Scream and Scream Again. That's another one with Lee, Cushing, and Price too. So that's another good one.
Oh, good one. Nice job, fellas.
Yeah, I used to have a coaster of House of Long Shadows for a long time that somebody made for me, but it broke. So I would look at it all the time. Also, Desi Arnaz Jr. is in that movie to give you the full horror compliment that you were looking for.
I saw that on WHT back in the day. That was like New York's first cable. And I remember them playing it. I watch it like 5 times in a month. It's kind of long too. It takes a while.
Yeah. It's kind of a writer comes to that house to be inspired to write his next book, and then once he gets there, everybody's kind of trying to play off each other. It's very. It feels like almost like a Corman Poe that's not a Poe kind of story, which I always appreciate too. I like when Cushing shows up in a movie and you can just tell he's like, I really don't want to be here.
Right. I feel like after his wife died, that happened a lot.
That's why he did this movie, because he was trying to raise money for his wife's treatment. So he just tried to do as many movies as he could. Yeah. But I've said it before. I probably should save it for the second movie, but fuck it. When I saw Star Wars as a kid, it didn't click into me that how awesome it was until Peter Cushing walked out. And I was like, oh, this movie definitely has my stamp of approval now. He was a Hammer character. You know what I mean? It's like a Hammer actor's in this movie. Well, now it's okay. I don't know why I needed that, but it totally I went nuts when he came out. So
did he ever get his own action figure?
He did, yeah. Kenner made one, and it's okay. I've seen a couple custom ones that people have done. So yeah, when I was a kid, he didn't when we were kids though. They just made like a Star Destroyer Commander or whatever
helmet.
Yeah, that helmet was like every haircut New Wave girls had. It always looked like the Star Destroyer helmet.
Cushing did do some pretty mediocre films in this period. Another one that I can think of off the top of my head is The Ghoul.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen The Ghoul, I mean, it's not terrible, and it's definitely it's there's a furniture movie, which is where I'm obsessed with the furniture, but there's also a house movie too, where I'm obsessed with where they live, and The Ghoul is definitely one of those films, at least.
Yeah. Got a good house.
Oh, it's one of those houses where there's a big staircase and you go up that, then there's another staircase going up, and at the very top of that staircase you can see another staircase. It's just up and up.
I like of Cushing's movies. I really like Corruption a lot because it's not a female picture, If you've seen the trailer,
Not a woman's picture.
Not a woman's picture. So yeah, but I love that movie because there's a scene where he goes to like a nightclub and watches girls dance, and he's so out of place. You know what I mean? Like as he's trying to pick up young prostitutes, and you're like, oh, this is your like grandpa. Yeah, go. But on the other hand,
like when Christopher Lee goes into that disco in Howling 2.
Oh.
I mean, what the hell? He puts on a pair of wraparound sunglasses, and all of a sudden, he's a new waiver. But anyway,
is there one where Christopher Lee is? Maybe this is one when you talk about. Where he walks into a disco and there's like people dancing around in like masks, like those. And it's like the beginning of the movie, and then it's gonna spin off into a couple of short stories. But it's like Monster Mash or something, or Monster.
You're thinking of the Monster Club.
Yes. You're so good at this game.
I love that movie, especially because there's a scene where a girl strips so much that she takes her skin off, and is left as a skeleton singing on the stage.
I was disappointed that she was a cartoon. I wanted to actually see somebody peel their skin off for my entertainment.
Also, the best part of that movie is the family tree of monsters, where they go through like all the like when this monster mates with this monster, that's how you get a screamer.
That's a really good segue into tonight's film too, because that's what happens in tonight's movie. It's about a vampire that mates with a human woman.
Yeah,
and they have a child.
Years before Blade became the Daywalker, this movie was made. Because Blade wasn't introduced until 1974 in the comics, so I've always wondered if this movie was a bit of an influence, because that's kind of what the whole story of Blade seeking out Deacon Frost to kill him for turning his mother into a vampire and making him a half vampire. So that's kind of sort of. I don't know. And Becca said to me, or before the movie started, you guys are going to show another Michael Pataki movie? Like, yeah. Might seem a little soon, but are there any roles? I don't think there are.
Pataki, William Smith, they were in so many of these movies that, it's hard to throw a stone without hitting one of them. You want to look at some ads?
I do. Also, yesterday was John Carradine's birthday. So,
yes.
So.
I just saw him in Captain Courageous yesterday. So good.
Oh, that's awesome.
I cried. What about Lynn Peters? Nobody's going to talk about her?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I Googled her too. Oh,
that was a good segue if we were ready to pick up on it, but we weren't. So
wait, but she was in something. What was she in? Batman, Hogan's Heroes. I thought she was in another horror movie though, but I can't find any backup to that. That's it. She was in. And
Dustin said we also showed Halloween 4, so really we've hit the Pataki triple feature, really, and the baby. So that's 4.
Baby.
Mark Dockham, The Ghoul is not a wallpaper movie because most of the walls in the movie are like those elaborate paneling that you saw in all those old movie sets. Did people's houses really look like that? Anyway, I got some ads to show us for Grave of the Vampire. This movie was first released in 1972. Boston got it first. September 13th was a Wednesday. But
I was like 3 months old and ready to drink blood.
Oh, I was too. So yeah, this is from Boston. Supposedly the world premiere, but that's a term that lots of places like to throw around back in those days because we didn't have the internet to verify these kind of things. So also, there was another world premiere in another part of the country. Oh, Taste the Blood of Dracula was a frequent co-feature with this movie. And we'll talk about Garden of the Dead in a minute. This was also in San Antonio, supposedly the world premiere, even though it was a week after the first world premiere. So, two worlds. Garden of the Dead was this movie's typical co-feature. They were kind of sold as a package. Grave of the Vampire is a little over an hour, but Garden of the Dead was under an hour. So it was always a B feature. It was hard to split these two up, though. And you'll see why in a second. You normally didn't see one without the other. Here's an alternate ad design. I love this.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know what he's peeling off of his face. It looks like a bandage or spider webs. Or maybe latex. The actor got tired of having all that shit on his face. So anyway, there it is with Taste the Blood of Dracula again. This is from 1973 at the Brewer Drive-In. So it was still hanging around in 1977. Here it is, split from Garden of the Dead, presumably, with Kiss of the Tarantula. Totally playing up the vampire baby scenario there, even though it doesn't really have that much of it in there. Look, isn't this artwork from the Psychic Killer?
Yeah, it is.
I thought,
but I
so.
bet you love those lights, sprockets on the side. That is very Bill design.
You know that's going to be in the next Drive-In Asylum.
Yeah.
More about that later. 1978. It was also shown. Here it is with Garden of the Dead reattached. So I don't think they ever got split up. Probably they were on the same reel. This is the giant reel with both the movies on it. I never miss a chance to show a Messiah of Evil ad. Here's that fake title, Return of the Living Dead, and the B feature is Grave of the Vampire. So in 78, it was still a B feature under the Grave of the Vampire title, even though it was playing theaters as Seed of Terror. Here's a strange combination with Death Force.
Whoa.
No mention. Oh, Legend of Witch Hollow was the other one. That's a really obscure one.
That ad feels like barely put together on the bottom.
No. So 1980, it was still there. Look, the opposite screen in the drive-in had Sunburn with Farrah Fawcett and Prophecy. Everybody was turning around to look at Grave of the Vampire and Garden of the Dead, though. The Creeper, 1981, the same company put it out, retitled Rituals the Creeper, and showed Grave of the Vampire retitled. Look, it was Seed of Terror.
Seed O Terror.
Seed O Terror.
That's the Irish one, yeah.
Like a candy bar. I'm going to the store. Would you pick me up a Seed of Terror?
Well, I got you.
Look, they put Pac-Man in the ad here. They advertised that you could play Pac-Man at their drive-in. Texas Chainsaw. What a fun double feature. Texas Chainsaw and this. Grave of the Vampire. Who would have thought? There's lots of fun combinations, though.
Oh my god, what a feature right there.
Demonoid.
How have we not shown Demonoid yet?
We can't show all the movies. So there's Garden of the Dead again, and it was never retitled Grave of the Vampire. It was always Seed of Terror after this. Well, usually. I knew that'd get you. So here's a weird one: Ghost Dance. It's like a slasher-esque, a supernatural slasher about this like Native American apparition. It's not bad. It's from 1982. So here it was in 1982 as a co-feature.
Playing at the Apache Drive-In, no less.
Oh yeah, lots of offensive stereotypes.
Yeah, we've come a long way, baby.
But anyway,
nobody gets out.
Yeah.
$4 a car.
Look at this one.
Oh, and Nora, I put this up there just for you. Seed of Terror with co-feature The Child. So, I'm all over that one.
Hang 'em High and Any Which Way You Can too is a great double feature.
Any Which Way You Can was not a good follow-up, I don't think.
No, I like the first one a lot better, but
yeah. So anyway, there's our ad gallery for Grave of the Vampire and Sam and Unkle Spooky, but Sam's local. And Unkle Spooky, I hope you can join us at one of these one time. There's a new Monsterama coming up. They just announced the schedule for April Ghouls this year. It's the last weekend in April at the Riverside Drive-In Theater. And it's produced by George Reese and Gene B. And we've got Gene ready to join our broadcast, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about it. Hi, Gene.
Great. I am I'm, I'm loading my cheat notes up. Can you hold on a minute, please?
Oh, did I bring you on too soon? I'm sorry.
Too soon.
Hello, Uncle Spooky.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you tonight? Are you
Excellent. I'm excited for Nostradamus.
Are you thawing from the recent snowfall?
I actually went out last night to the liquor store to get some of these very one-of-a-kind ingredients for tonight's drink.
Very good.
And there was an ice storm out here, and I totally went down to my ass. Pretty hard. I couldn't believe it. Like walking around.
Well, you shouldn't have found anything. You're dead already. So that's a good
You try finding carrot juice in hell.
Anyway, guys, so questions, Bill. You want to talk about the Friday night lineup first for the show, or?
Yes. Well, you'd think I could have an image already pulled up for this, but never mind. Friday night, Gene, what do we have to look forward to on Friday night? What's the date?
The date is 29th and 30th of April, coming up in about, 2 months here already? It's hard to believe.
I know.
Seems like when we close shop on the September show, we feel like it's going to be a million years until April, but it's not a million years. It ends up seeming like 3 months. I think I speak for everyone on that one. So it's a part 2 to last year. It's a back to the 80s weekend. Same theme as last year. This show went through a lot of development over the last 6 months. We changed a lot of the names of the show or the movies. Bill's aware of quite a bit of that. So Friday night, we settled on Halloween 2 as the first feature, which was something that Bill's been wanting to see for a very long time. We had screened Halloween 1978 at one of the earlier shows in April about, 5 years ago or something? I can't remember the specific date of when that happened. The second movie, of course, is Terror Train, which is a staple here at the house. Every single New Year's, we take a ride on the Terror Train after we ride the Poseidon, and it goes underwater. So it's sort of a theme night at the house, of disaster. Plus, it's a great Canadian film, too. So that's sort of a back-to-back double feature with Jamie Lee Curtis, which is awesome. So that kind of wraps up 2 really big 80s movies, which have both been requested. So we went a little bit different for the end of Friday night. We went with Midnight and we went with Effects. And one of the reasons why we did this is because they recently have become available on Blu-ray, digitally remastered. There are 2 extremely important, they're 2 extremely important local films because a lot of the talent that came out of Night of the Living Dead and some of the George Romero productions sort of went solo on both of these films. John Amplas, of course, is in Midnight. Some of the people that worked on the other Romero films worked on Midnight. John Russo wrote Midnight. I remember renting it from a Giant Eagle grocery store back in the early 90s. And, we love the image. So you're going to be seeing that image coming up in the future, the ghoul on the front. Effects is another movie, and I think Bill and I were talking about this one night, about Effects is a film with Joe Pilato that was in Day of the Dead. It features Tom Savini. Tom Savini actually worked on both of the movies. And I'm trying to think, Deborah, what is the name of the lady that's in that movie? Deborah Green? Is that what her name is?
I think so.
You guys look it up. Anyway, I had the pleasure of meeting her at one of the Living Dead weekends that I work with, and I forgot she was in Effects. Effects is an interesting movie.
It's one of my favorites.
It's very low budget, but it's, again, both of these movies are prime examples of local filmmaking and people that were involved in a larger project going off on their own and making their own film. So
Effects fucking blew my mind, and I was so excited. We were able to get Dusty Nelson, the director of Effects, in Drive-In Asylum. He was in issue 20.
Absolutely. And you know what? Both of these movies are wonderful travel logs for the Pittsburgh area. So if you weren't alive when they were filmed, you certainly get to see some of the scenes that no longer exist in the Pittsburgh area. So we felt that we were talking about movies, and I said to George, what do you think about Midnight and Effects back to back? And he goes, you know what? That crossed my mind. And I said, this is a perfect time to do it because nobody else has done these 2 films on a big screen, especially remastered back to back. So it's kind of paying back, props to the people who are, big in the Pittsburgh area into filmmaking. We just wanted to give back and give some exposure to these films we run out of stuff after a while, don't we? After we've seen everything, it's sort of we sort of need to look back at stuff that we haven't really paid attention to, and these are two good films to do that with. So Saturday night sort of inadvertently turned into thanks, Matthew. It sold me too. I mean,
as if you weren't going.
Yeah, as if I didn't plan it, right? Anyway, but I want to mention real quick here, if you have the effects Blu-ray that came out from AFCA, there are these short films from the director that are extras on that. And the one with the hitchhiking girl actually was filmed on the Fern Hollow Bridge over Frick Park, which collapsed. And I just watched that the week before the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed. And I lived 2 blocks away from that. So at 6:45 that morning, I was woken up with what sounded like a truck running over a person, I don't know, running over a pothole, and here the bridge had collapsed. And my whole neighborhood felt like it was under like a DMC lockdown. There were cops everywhere. And
scary.
It was pretty eerie, to be honest with you. I ended up making it to work, but I didn't go until later. Anyway, back to Saturday night. So it inadvertently became a zombie night, which it just sort of happened. And George had wanted to do Evil Dead 2 since we had run Evil Dead, and that might have been the same weekend as Halloween 1978. Reanimator has been a very requested film, that and actually From Beyond, so that's a possibility for a future show. Dr. Butcher, also known as Zombie Holocaust. Now, it sort of fits in because if you think about it, Reanimator is about reawakening the dead and zombies and what happens in the next movie, Dr. Butcher. And I just bought it on Blu-ray, like on a whim. I found out I didn't have it on Blu-ray and I bought it. And I thought, this is a fucking great movie for the show. And I texted George. I said, why don't we do Dr. Butcher? It's so great because when the Italians were done exploiting the zombies, what did they exploit next? Which was cannibals. And if you think about it, Cannibal Holocaust / what? Zombie Holocaust.
Zombie Holocaust.
Right.
Yeah.
They sort of get everything in there. So the movie works very well as a zombie film. Ian McCulloch is in it. That was in the movie Zombie. Zombie 2, of course, over there. And it's a really fun movie. It's almost like they decided to make a second feature after they made Zombie, and they said, let's just be crazy. And finally, George's choice, Zombie 3. And I know Sam is batshit crazy over that one. Right, exactly. Bill said you'd flip out. So that's what's happening. Zombie 3 is such a fun film. It's very 1980s. People in Jeeps, big-haired girls, boom boxes, muscle soldier guys shooting people, clouds of death that change everybody into zombies. A flying zombie head, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, you may be able to reflect on some of the directorial stuff. I know that Lucio Fulci started that film, but apparently Lucio Fulci was hospitalized and did not complete it. What is the story on that, Sam? Because I guess you would know more than I would know about that.
Yeah, it's a matter of conjecture of what happened on it, and then it had to be reshot and redone. And supposedly Fulci turned in like a 45-minute cut of that. But I've also heard that he did more and everything got screwed around. So it's still wonderful. Yeah, I think the head coming out of the fridge is him.
I just had a friend up in Canada watch that last week, and he thought it was absolutely crazy. It's a really fun film. It's a great choice for the last slot for the night. I hope people stay to watch it.
I love when they nail up a zombie barricade and it's like somebody's rose trellis.
I see Vince was listening to the Zombie 3 CD. I think I have that actually. But this was our choices for this show, and the show underwent a lot of changes. There was a lot more popular horror films that we pulled out and decided to push to a later one. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Possible guests, maybe. Bill would be the only person on this podcast that would know about that. Anyway, so that's a possibility. Brand new T-shirt designed by Bill, by Groovy Doom, for the show. I'd like to show it to you, but I think George wants to show that on the drive-in page. So we'll hold off on that. It's beautiful. It's perfect. Bill did a great job. He did it overnight. You know, I went to bed and it popped up like what, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's done already. T-shirt. So that's it. It's good stuff. So check out the drive-in page, and you know, constantly, because we're going to be posting stuff throughout the month about, you know, food specials and different things that's going to be happening. Also, I wanted to mention the Kiski River Lounge is remodeled. It was the hotel that's up the road from the show.
Yeah.
And it looks really fantastic. They're nice people. I think there's only like 12 rooms, and I think over half of them are booked already, if not all booked.
What's the name of the hotel again?
It was called the Lakes, and now it's called the Kiski River Lounge or something. Kiski River Lodge.
Kiski.
I think if you go to it, you're going to have a moment where a girl appears singing Julie Cruz songs, and then there's a tall man and a horse, and then there's a murder. I think it looks like it's out of Twin Peaks. I really do. I think it's if you come on the right night, you can see Big Crawdaddy do his show. He's probably good. I don't know.
I think I saw him. It's a pretty interesting show. Yeah.
Have you seen Big Crawdaddy live? He does acoustic or something.
Oh, okay. Maybe not the same guy I was thinking.
He runs their acoustic show, I guess. But I mean, she the lady that owns it does all the cooking. I heard from previous people that stayed at the hotel or motel that the food's really good. So I think, and it's in walking distance. So, you know, that's I'm giving them tons of press for this, because I want people to be able to walk and do other things. Anyway.
There's also the Country Manors, another hotel that's only probably about 10 miles away, and we stayed there, and it's pretty nice.
Is that the one right off where 66 meets?
Yeah.
There's like a pizza place there. That's where the cops hide. Yeah.
Yeah. It's everything in there.
It's from 1960.
Yeah, Becca's like, nothing has been changed since 1960. It's very.
Well, they said in the article about this hotel that, you know, the fixtures were the same since the 1950s.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I didn't get to stay there. I know that a number of the people that come out to the show stayed there, and then I was kind of scared at the fact when they said, "Well, there's no one on the property at night. You're on your own." And I was
Luckily,
like,
the wiring's not from the 50s.
yeah, you're on your own, kids. And you know what? If you survive the night, you can come to the drive-in the next
They
day.
gave us a whole box of soap. They said, take as much as you want.
For what? For
showers. Usually there's like toiletries and modern hotels have ones where you just hit the button. There's just these big blocks of soap, and they had like 1968 stamped on them.
Okay, well, you know, I think that kind of stuff adds to the ambiance of
100%.
everything we do. To be
We
honest,
need to get you down here, Uncle Spooky, for one of these events.
yeah, please.
I'm dying to go to one of these drive-in. I don't think I've ever done one. Like what, those late nights. How long does it go till?
Dusk Till Dawn shows. George started this. A little bit of the backdrop here on this. I know many of you heard this already. My apologies. George and I had met online on DVD Drive-In, this website, over a really weird. I had a movie and he had a movie that was put together as a double feature. He had Frankenstein on Campus and I had Night of the Witches. And I randomly reached out to him and said, I have Night of the Witches. You wouldn't happen to have Frankenstein on Campus? And he said yes. And it was like a Reese's peanut butter moment. And, you know, it really was. And we worked together. And then all of a sudden, like, years went by. And I saw he was doing the show on his page, and I thought, well, this will never be anywhere near me because, you know, Pittsburgh does nothing, and I mean that sadly. It's rough. It's rough doing any type of this entertainment stuff in this city, regardless of. I think Still City Con does well. I know Living Dead Weekend, which I work with, does very well, but for the most part, it's rough here for everybody. Everyone likes football, and they don't like monsters. But anyway, back to the story.
Yes. Get back to the story and get it told.
I know. Anyway, bottom line is George has been doing these for 17 years. I went on a page, found out he was local. I went to the first one, and I would say about halfway through, I approached George and said, I'd love to help you out because, you know, I worked in the entertainment business right out of college and have done a lot of promotions and stuff. And he said he was open to it. So we started working together, and the rest is history. The numbers went up. Great ideas. He is a genius. He comes up with the most amazing ideas, you know, and they work. And I add my 2 cents, and next thing you know, it's April and it's September over and over again. Big stuff planned for September too. Can't tell you about that, but you'll see when it happens.
We have a lot of great memories at those shows. I know.
Absolutely.
Both.
I think also, I'm not going to take credit for this, but I think Drive-In Asylum really had a big boost from that too, because didn't you first sell your issues at one of them or something? Like
I did, yeah.
I said, bring a handful of your books and sell them, see what happens. That it's great, and Drive-In Asylum has grown into an incredible empire. It's something I enjoy watching. If I don't get to see you live, I watch you the next day or whenever on Monday. So it's good stuff.
Thank you very much.
I do. I love it. I tell everybody to turn it on. But I think you get a lot of viewers and repeat, which is great. So.
Are you hanging out for the cocktail, Gene?
I will be watching you guys. I love the fact that you're on YouTube now, because it's much easier to put you on my big screen television. You go pick it up on YouTube. Although one thing, I don't think on YouTube that you can see the chat that's on Facebook.
I have no idea. Which is kind of a bummer. But I appreciate all you folks who are watching from YouTube, like Mr. Dan and Horror, and somebody else out there too. Graham, I think, was watching on YouTube. So welcome and thanks for hanging out there. And Sam, I think you got a beverage to make for us. So Gene, are you gonna? Should I exit you now?
I'll watch him. I'll watch Sam do his magical liquor.
Okay.
And listen, thanks again for having me on to do a little promo for the show. And that's a great thing. And like I said, watch the page and we'll talk more about it and stuff. So, and thank you, Bill, for all your contributions as well. And to Robert, who's probably tuned in. Robert is working on the commercial as we speak for the April show. So everybody's excited. The buzz is good and we'll be there. Thanks a lot.
See you at the Kiski Lodge.
Yeah.
See you at the Honey Bear.
Don't blink.
All right. Thanks, Gene. All right. So, Sam, have you got a beverage for us?
I sure do, and it has the dumbest name of any drink I've come up with yet.
And
you ready?
It is
Grape of the Vampire.
I lie. I knew.
All right.
So yeah,
grape of the Vampire. It's gonna start with 3 ounces of white grape juice. White grape juice. You can use. All right, 3 ounces of that. And basically, this doesn't need shaking or anything. You just pour it together and give it a little stir. We're going to do 2 ounces of pineapple juice.
Oh, can. That was so smart.
Yeah, cans are the way to go with it. Because I don't think I could drink that much healthy
right? Diabetes. Yeah.
Also, another advantage of the drive-in is I will make you drinks while you sit there. And they're really strong.
And you'll be wasted by the second feature.
Yeah. Imagine 4 drinks of movies, and then you'll end up in a Honey Bear eating pepper. Anyway, Tito's, an ounce of Tito's or whatever kind of vodka you're using.
Stoli.
And finally, last 2 things. We're going to do a little twist of lemon. I'm not twisting lemon. I'm just using a little spray. And then finally, a little bit of club soda. Hopefully this doesn't explode. I knew it was coming all over the keyboard. I don't know. I think I did it with my brain like Carrie.
Now we can't hear you.
I know.
Really?
Really? Well, I mean, we could hear you, but it's kind of muffled.
Get the bag of rice
everywhere.
There, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Whew. It's just water, baby. It's just water. Man.
Gonna blow.
I feel like I'm in one of those Japanese movies that's on the dark web. All right, just a little bit of that. You can give it a stir with your finger. You're not going to be too fancy, right?
Little finger stir.
Finger stir. All right. I'm going to go out and freeze after this. That was a lot of water. I really hope that whenever the extras come back for the show, Bill's been re-editing these together. That'll be the part for me of just me spraying club soda all over myself.
I'm going to make a super cut, and it's going to be all cocktail disasters.
The blooper reel.
Yeah. I felt like I was in like a Leo Gorcey movie there for a second. Like, the old like seltzer spray thing.
You can't pay for this kind of entertainment. So are we all ready?
We are ready. Excited to have Uncle Spooky on. Excited about the drive-in. Excited about Grave of the Vampire. Excited about Grape of the Vampire.
I want to sip of that. Clink.
Clink. The Zuzu.
Cheers. Delicious.
Mm.
And I hope you folks at home are enjoying responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
Can we stand a little more promotional time?
I
have something else I want to talk about.
What could that be?
I have a pretty big announcement to make. Drive-In Asylum issue number 23 is finished, and it is going to be on sale on Monday. And I'm going to share the cover with you all right now. This is very exciting for me because Horror High is one of my all-time favorite films. You can probably tell. I gushed about it on the show when Pat Carty was on. Having him in the magazine is super exciting. He was one of the earliest people that I thought of to feature in the magazine, and then finally it's going to happen. I wanted it to happen in issue number 11 because we had Larry Stouffer, the director of Horror High. There was an interview with him in that one, but I didn't get in touch with Pat in time, so this is finally the realization of that long-time dream. There he is, the creeper. And now we also have Christine Debell is going to be in the magazine. And I don't know, Sam, I'm willing to bet you had at least a minor crush on Christine Debell. She was one of the other camp counselors in Meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
there's a more notorious film that she's associated with.
What's that?
I thought you were going to say.
No.
It's the X-rated version of Alice in Wonderland.
Huh.
Not the Pataki directed one, but the other one.
No, yeah, it's the one directed by Bud Townsend, the director of Terror House, and also Nightmare in Wax, Coach. He directed that 78 film with Kathy Lee Crosby, Coach. That was a Crown.
That was on HBO a lot.
It was a Crown International film.
Yes.
And so yeah, he was the director of it. Was not only was it a porn version of Alice in Wonderland, but it was a musical as
Who'd
well.
she play?
She was Alice. She was the lead character.
There's also the Pataki directed Fairy Tales, which has very similar plot, like almost too similar plot and staging, but that's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Christine's going to be in the magazine. She doesn't talk about Alice in Wonderland in the article, so don't get all excited or anything. I mean, it's something that I don't want to say she doesn't want to be associated with it, but she just didn't want to talk about it anymore. She's like, I've said everything I could possibly say about Alice in Wonderland. It was the only adult film she ever did, by the way. A lot of actors don't easily cross into the mainstream after doing an adult role, but she did. And after taking like a 15-year hiatus from acting to raise a family, she got back into the business again to the delight of all of her fans. So it's going to be really exciting to feature her in the magazine. We've also got Roger Froling, or Rigor, I said his real name. Rigor wrote an article. He was on the Drive-In Asylum double feature a couple of months ago. Roger, I don't know if you're still out there, but he has a piece in there about Dr. Fives. A huge thing to all of us.
Coming out on Blu-ray in April.
Oh, I know, both of them.
Yeah, double disc from Kina. Super excited.
Sam, you've got a great piece in there about the syndicated package Nightmare Theater.
Thank you. I'm very excited that that's getting out there. I love every movie in that set. Still have no idea how they ran on TV. A lot of them ran on TV uncut, but that's the UHF miracle.
Is that the color mag, the little black and white action?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different, like 13 movies that were in this set, like Bell from Hell, Marta, The Witches. Like there are a lot of like one American movie and like 12 Spanish horror movies all in this set. But it ran on syndication.
Gigi's got a piece on David Durston's Stigma in the new magazine, and Dustin's in there writing about Mansion of the Doomed. Don Guarisco from Schlockmania wrote a piece about tonight's first feature, Grave of the Vampire. So we've come full circle. And
Mansion of the Doomed, which was on the show just a little bit ago.
yeah, funny how those things work out. So that'll be on sale at some point, probably on Monday morning, maybe even as early as tomorrow. But you'll see it on the Groovy Doom page if you just go there. I'm
Is that your first black and white issue?
Oh no, I just haven't added the color to it yet.
Do you know what color you're going for, or it's a surprise?
I haven't decided yet. I never know until I send the first order. I just pick it. I have to look and see what all the other recent issues were colored, so I don't start doing the same color over and over again.
Have you hit them all?
Well, there's still some that are there that are available, but I'm not sure how a cover would look on it. So, I got to run some tests and
Inspirational colors. I know what you mean.
It's easier to stick with what you know.
Blue works.
Blue is beautiful. I've had so many blue covers. I couldn't. Well, the last one was blue to match you, Unkle Spooky.
I'll take it. I'm excited. I got all your magazines. I bought all the old ones. I was giving them out as coloring contest winner prizes during my Dracula.
Yeah, tell us about Dracula.
Dracula was fun. Did you watch it at all?
I did. Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing.
I didn't know anything about it, so I thought it was more like scary. So it's just kind of like a spooky RuPaul's Drag Race a little bit. They would chop my head off if they heard me say that though. And it was like 10 episodes, and it was so I'd never seen the show before. And the bar I was working with, I was trying to do a horror movie. They're like, yeah, she wanted to do that. So I was like, okay, it's a weekly. And so we did a double feature, did a horror movie after that, and they were pretty good. There was some misses and good ones, like sometimes it was just not a lot of people would show up, and other times it'd be packed. You can't. It's tough with a weekly, but the show was really got into it. It was kind of amazing. It was, there was a lot of things been going on with like not horror, like reality shows where they're getting ready to vote somebody off at the end. They're like, let's just do 4 specialists. They can't let them all go. They've got to have like a little bit of a, so they, because you want that last, I don't know. There was one really bitchy episode that was great, and then they pulled everybody aside and said you're being too bitchy, and then it was just got too nice after that. I needed a little bit of the bitchy. I was like really into it with that. I was like, whoa! It was like the first time I ever saw that.
It's a whole new level. Bitchiness between drag queens is just, it's stratospheric.
Who was my favorite?
I've been in the middle. I've been in the middle of a couple of those, so I know.
I know they sharpen you up. Who was it? Beaver. Forgot her full name already, but Beaver, the real chick, was my favorite. Gigi's asking me. Who was your favorite, Bill?
Well, I don't remember the names all that well. I mean, I only saw like one episode.
Like the Mexican?
What's that?
Did you like the Mexican? Or just throw out the big one?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, with a name like Signori Beaver, I can imagine Bill would probably like her the most.
Signori, yes, that was it. Signori. I couldn't remember. I loved her. Oh. They were all great, though. Actually, they were all, even like the ones that got voted off early were kind of like, they brought them back later, and they were like just you wanted to meet them all. So they had a really great cast. I was very impressed.
Exciting you got to do that, and it was on
Shudder,
it really was.
Right? Yeah, and then it was like kind of like it wasn't doing so good for a minute, and the lady was like, "I think we're gonna pull the plug." So I was like, so I put like a little desperate email out there, and I sent it to the Boulet brothers, and they like kind of pushed it out there. So kind of forwarded forward, and we got like another 20 people the next week, and it was very helpful. So I owe them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I remember when you had that out there, and I was to be honest, I was a little shocked that it worked because normally, people ignore stuff like that. They don't care even if you need a kidney. Like they don't care about it.
I wasn't asking for money. It wasn't like it was like if you like horror, somebody who does, just point them this way, and it really worked. Because everybody's like, "Oh, I wish I knew. I wish I could go." And like I don't want to hear that. I want to say it there. So show up. That's the answer. If you got one of those things, just show up. Counts.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty's.
It's nice to hear a happy ending to something like that.
It was great. It was very exciting. And I'm super psyched about this driving thing. I'm dying to go to one of these. And I just got my car fixed, $500 for a new fuel pump, so maybe I'm in.
Oh, hey.
Is it worth getting a hotel room, though, if you're at this thing all night?
You can camp at the thing all night if you want, but it can be kind of cold.
You're just sleeping in your car. I mean,
there's some Airbnbs around the area. I know that Roger and a few of the guys stayed at an Airbnb and had a blast too.
You know who's coming in for this one? Mike Justice.
He is?
Oh, Mike Justice is going to be here for this one, and I'm very excited about that. So Mike will be joining us.
He hasn't seen any of the 8 movies, so I mean, he should come in.
I bet he's seen 1 or 2.
Is it possible?
Yeah. Well, I probably he's seen Zombie 3. Probably.
He has seen Dr. Butcher. He already revealed that.
I got this distant memory of Dr. Butcher in the movies and like howling with laughter. I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. It's like somebody comes over, does a turn with a scalpel, and I've been dying to re-see it. And so I would totally go just for that movie.
Oh, there's so many reasons to go, but yeah, Dr. Butcher is one of my favorite films on the roster. So,
is that right?
I'm dying to see Effects. That's. I mean, I've seen it. I'm dying to see Effects theatrically, the way it was intended on a large screen. Because it is one of my favorite films. It's just one of those huge surprises that came out of nowhere because you couldn't see it for a long time. Like it only screened theatrically, maybe like. It screened here in Pittsburgh like 2 or 3 times, and then it screened. I did find ads for it playing in Arizona, of all places. I think like Phoenix. It played for a couple of dates, and then it never found a distributor to get it across the country. I just think it was a little too complicated. If you watch it, like you really have to pay attention to it. It's not a good drive-in movie, to be honest, because if you're not paying attention, the plot can leave you behind. But if you do stick with it and pay attention to what's actually happening in the film, it really twists your brain into a knot. And it's very exciting to see it theatrically like that.
I will say that Midnight's a real good drive-in movie, though.
Yeah.
It's just and there's a remake of it that just came out. It hasn't really got a lot of distribution yet, but there's a remake of it, which is supposedly closer to the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Midnight or Effects. I got little stars next to both of them.
I love Midnight, so a lot.
An all-time fan.
Is Effects the one with the guy's like a special effects guy and
no, you're thinking of. I know the one you're thinking of.
Like the Australian guy.
Effects.
Yeah, Brian Brown from
not the same movie.
No, Effects is it's a very low budget film that was made here in Pittsburgh by a bunch of folks who were proteges of George Romero, people who had worked with him on his films. They made their own movie, and it was this. Tom Savini worked on it. He's an actor in the film as well. And Joe Pilato, Captain Rhodes from Day of the Dead, he has the lead in it. And
is he as angry?
He is not as angry as Captain Rhodes. It's interesting to see another performance from him because
another side.
Joke on him.
Believe it or not, he really was acting. And Effects is, it's so low budget, so obscure, and to have it resurface like this and find an audience so many years later is very exciting. That story is exciting in and of itself.
Yeah.
So anything else we want to say about Grave of the Vampire before we get into tonight's first feature?
I'm excited for everybody to see it. And I saw someone asked a little bit ago, what are the movies? They are, Blood Beast Terror will be our second and Grave of the Vampires first. If you never watched the show before, we watch them on Tubi or YouTube. There's links posted on the Groovy Doom Facebook page as well as my site. And I'm super excited. I love Grave of the Vampire. And now, like from watching the trailer in the beginning, I'm amped up to watch it again.
I love a colored vampire of any color. This one looks like he's rocking a brown or in a grayish hue. So I'm excited to see how that translates.
He appears more human at some point, but yeah, he goes.
He's got a brown tinge for a while. Like when he first shows up, like he's real weathered looking, right?
Yeah,
at least it looks like that in the trailer. I'm excited.
He's been dead for at least 3 years, according to the script. Well, you'll see. But that's interesting. This film has an interesting mythology about vampirism. Not only do we see a human vampire hybrid, but there's also this idea that this vampire is, actually he's hundreds of years old, and he traces back to, many years ago, and the body that rises from the crypt is only his last incarnation. There were other names before that, so I don't know what the rules are for how long you have to stay in a grave, but apparently they just do it every once in a while and hibernate, and then come back out.
Yeah, I call it snailing.
But how long do you usually hibernate?
Oh. Oof, good.
Caleb Croft took 3 years. How long would you like to take?
I just like to go, it's like a little disco nap, really, of about 2 or 3 weeks. Just kind of lay low, and then kind of come out big.
I think that's a better idea.
Do a little mud masking. What'd you think of Scream? Just see Scream? No, it's too much. We shouldn't go there, right? Too much of a side subject. Sorry, I have ADD. You can come back to that one.
Well, no, we can talk about Scream. I was just about to reel the intro for the film, but we can talk about Scream real quick. What did you think?
I loved it. I couldn't tell you a thing about it anymore, but I remember loving it. I don't know why. It was what I wanted, how I wanted it. And, it was like, no spoilers, but, the reveal wasn't like, amazing, but it was like, it was okay. It was good enough, there was some, choked up moments. It was, I thought it was great. I loved it. I love the mythology. I love the continuous. I think I liked it more than I liked the last two. I loved part 1 and part 2, part 3 and part 4, not so much. And I'd like to revisit them to see, but I haven't seen them in a while. And I would like to go see this one again just to see, because somebody didn't like it, and I was like, maybe let me go watch it from their opinion. Oh, I forget his name, but I won't tell you. So I can't tell you. But he didn't like it. What'd you think?
I haven't seen it.
So what are you talking about? I don't know. It's spoiler filled. Cut it. Cut the segment.
I haven't seen it. I don't know. I gave up. Like after the last Scream, I guess it was Scream 4. I was like, okay, I'm done. Peace out. I don't want any more movies about this character that keeps getting stalked by ghost face people wherever she goes in life. It's too depressing.
Yes, they went there with that, but I feel like they kind of, they're doing a little, they're going their own way in the 5th one, but Mike Justice is right. They're all in it, and they're all look a little, a little haggardy. I loved what's his face, Dewey. What's his guy?
David Arquette.
Yeah, I've always kind of had like a little thing for him. So it was nice to see him again, holding up.
What about Courtney Cox? Yeah,
Courtney. I don't know. Courtney looked like she was a little bit. I mean, she was there, but I didn't really. They didn't give her a ton to do, but it was nice to have her there. And she had a few snarky lines, and it was a nice scene with her and Dewey, and it was like, there was, and you forget they were really married, right?
Maybe they do sometimes too.
So
you never know. It could be okay with them,
Yeah, I'm sure, right? I mean, it's been so long now. I mean, like they looked like they were fine, but I loved it. I did. It totally. Can't even say what I was going to say. But I love it.
You couldn't even remember the plot of Scream, so
That's how good it was.
I mean, it was just the ride was fun. I wasn't looking like to any part of it. I was just on for the ride. The ride was fun. It was a few. There was a couple of. There was one really rotten. It could have been like a great one line, and they totally clunked. It was like, ooh, they should have spent like $10,000 on a really good joke there. And that would have like sent it over the edge, but they went cheap. And it was like a real clunker. That was about it. But other than that, I loved it.
I'm with you. I mean, I know Sam. I think Sam kind of dislikes the whole franchise. Am
First and
I right?
second, all of them.
Sam hates every single one.
Like Wes Craven. He's a horrible person.
Oh, you knew Russ Craven, yeah? Was he?
Yeah. I have reasons, but let's not bury me on the show just yet.
No.
I got in trouble for saying that I hated the Halloween movies, but at least the more recent ones.
I didn't like the new one, and I snuck into it, and I just saw like the last 15 minutes. And I was like, "What is going on here?" They were chasing some other poor guy up a flight of stairs till he jumped out a window.
Who looks nothing like Michael Myers. People are like, that has to be him. Oh yeah, he's bald and fat now. That's totally makes sense.
That's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
Sure,
I dug the first Scream, and I really like Scream 2 because I love Laurie Metcalf in it. I think the whole ending of Scream 2 really like the final third of Scream 2 is pretty good. I have to.
I love the Buffy scene too. Little Sarah Michelle Gellar getting stalked. That's one of my favorite stalkings.
The only thing that I've ever liked about Scream is trying to look up what the actress's name. Whenever they're making the Stab, the fake Scream movie within the Scream, and when Courtney Cox's character is played by Parker Posey, and they're kind of like facing off, being bitchy to each other. That's the only thing. And I kind of like Jay and Silent Bob kind of showing up in the one, but that's really about it.
Which one were they in?
They show up in, I think, the third or the fourth one, because they also show up. There's like in the one where they go to Hollywood. I've kind of blocked out all the Kevin Smith movies.
That's the third one.
The third one, yeah. But yeah. I mean, also keep in mind that I've watched like 67 Jess Franco movies this month. So if I don't like Scream, it probably means I have a lack of taste because I really like Jess Franco movies.
It's all right, Well, whatever.
Not like everything the same. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like these where you just see a sunset for 5 minutes and then the camera wildly zooms into people over and over again, and only 5 people are in it, and they're shot in a hotel ballroom. These are the kind of movies that I watch.
Yeah, like I don't care if someone doesn't like something that I like,
Yeah. The thing I don't like about Scream is the first one is decent, but it's like it makes fun of the conventions of slashers, and then it falls into the same traps. And then if it is reinventing a slasher, then do it and have the characters evolve and get past the tropes of a slasher, and it doesn't. And then it just becomes endlessly self-referential and just becomes another slasher when supposedly it's changing the game with them. So that's what I don't like about it. People are like, oh, slashers were really stupid before this. And yeah, some of them are, but some of them aren't. So
slashers was my genre. I have to say, it wasn't like a holiday. I didn't like. I was like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, and I was so happy like when like a slasher themed holiday would come out, and there was like a good 5-year run there where it was like, here comes St. Patty's Day.
Yeah,
I don't know if they ever nailed that one, but and then that died off, and I was kind of like. I was like the lone. So when Scream came out, I was happy that everybody was like, yeah, slashers, they're back. And it did kind of, they never really kind of were as good. Like, they were kind of like that, I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of variety of slasher, which was, had some good moments, but on the whole, it was like, no.
That's one of my biggest problems with Scream is that it influenced so many other movies that did it very poorly.
Yeah.
And I really want to, speaking of the Halloween franchise, I only talk about franchises. The Halloween H20, I really like it. And I think it's one of the better sequels. And unfortunately, it does have that Scream-esque vibe to it. That
Luck is yelling stuff from the couch, by the way, Bill.
Oh, wait a minute. What did she yell? Does
She
she
got
like-
cheesy really loud at the top real ones.
Oh, you don't like H20, Becca?
I like the first 5 minutes, the opening scene.
I like it. I don't know. Because I like it because it's finally over at the end. She chops his fucking head off. Like that's what everybody wanted to see. And
Right.
I don't know, silly me. I kind of believed it, and then unfortunately they Scooby Doo it at the end, and you know whatever. But anyway, have we talked about Scream enough? And should we get to Grave of the Vampire?
Yeah, hit it.
Someone yelled that like about 10 minutes ago, but I'm cool with it. I can talk about shit. I can dump on Scream all night if you guys like. I can dump on every other movie where Wes Craven's like The Censors, and I didn't have a budget, and the script wasn't that good, and I'm like, you made like 2 good movies.
What's
But-
that Shocker one? That was terrible.
Oh,
That was pretty bad.
they went to conventions and gave out the T-shirts for it, and they like hyped everybody up, and I wore the T-shirt to the movie, and I'll never do that again because everybody through is like, I have to walk out of this movie wearing this shirt. And people
No.
think
Then he started. Not only did he make bad movies, he lent his name to bad movies, like that remake of Carnival of Souls. Wasn't that Wes Craven?
Yeah, and Dracula 3000.
Wes Craven presents.
Yeah, and Cursed, which is coming out on DVD or Blu-ray too, and they still haven't found the cut that is his cut. That's supposedly the good movie. They'll never find it.
They're still looking for a good movie. The links to tonight's movies are on Facebook, and if you go look at it, it's one of the last posts. Go get the link there. You can watch it on YouTube. There's a nice HD print up. So we'll be back here after the movie to watch more, or to talk more, and watch less on the Drive-In Asylum double feature.